Welcome back to our channel. From November 10th to November 14th, the lives of Danny, Andre, Ashley, Derek, Kat, Joey, Vanessa, Haley, Bill, Jacob, Naomi, Eva, and Isaiah became a complex tangle of desire, ambition, and simmering betrayal. Each choice carried consequences, and each moment of hesitation or daring could ignite fires that would burn irreversibly. For Danny and Andre, the days were defined not by the past, but by the weight of what they had yet to decide. Their previous deliberation about Bill Hamilton and Ashley Morgan had once been a matter of hearts and loyalty, a test of whether they could trust one another amid the temptations and intrigues surrounding them. They had chosen to stay together then, a temporary reprieve from the turbulence of competing desires. Now, however, the stakes were infinitely higher. The decision concerned not love alone but their careers, the Forrester modeling contract dangling like a high-stakes prize above them, a symbol of status, influence, and financial leverage. Andre had opened himself to Danny in ways he had never before allowed, revealing vulnerabilities about ambition, reputation, and the pressures of their intertwined public personas. Danny, confronted with the gravity of his openness, found herself torn between empathy, desire for autonomy, and the creeping suspicion that any step toward intimacy could be weaponized against them. The tension between them was palpable. Each glance carried a question, each touch an unspoken warning. Their past experiences, the betrayals they had witnessed in others, the shadow of Ashley's entanglements with Derek and Bill, all converged to make every decision a battlefield. Ashley's own path was approaching a precipice. Derek, whose presence had once been a stabilizing force, was being revealed in whispers and glimpses as a man dangerously close to another at the firehouse, a colleague whose identity, whether a female firefighter or a medical responder, remained uncertain, yet whose proximity promised a seismic shift. Ashley's heart oscillated between fury, betrayal, and a reluctant understanding. She had counted on Derek's constancy, on the invisible contract of loyalty and protection, but the revelation of his divided attentions threatened to shatter that fragile trust. Her anger was a living thing, coiling in her chest, urging decisions that would be both reactive and irrevocable. She wrestled with the temptation to confront, to lash out, and with the knowledge that any action could ripple across the intertwined lives around her. Kat, meanwhile, found herself in need of guidance, confronting a professional and personal impasse that demanded wisdom she did not trust herself to summon. Leslie, arriving as an unexpected source of counsel, introduced a volatile variable. There was hope that Leslie's perspective could steer Kat away from destructive impulses, yet the shadow of Eva Thomas's mother loomed in the periphery, a reminder that past entanglements and hidden loyalties could sabotage even the most carefully laid plans. Kat's internal conflict was sharpened by desperation and fear. The consequences of failure were immediate, visible, and humiliating, compelling her to act with precision despite the chaos surrounding her. Joey and Vanessa, in parallel, navigated a labyrinth of public restraint and private intensity. Their affection simmered, a fire held in check by societal expectations and the glare of public perception. Vanessa's escort service business flourished, its rapid success a source of pride and anxiety alike. Joey, privy to her acumen and drive, experienced a mixture of awe and unease, struggling to reconcile the warmth he felt for her with the envy and uncertainty her independence invoked. The juxtaposition of affection and ambition, desire and insecurity, created an undercurrent of tension that threatened to erupt at any misstep. Haley Lawson's machinations added a layer of imminent danger. Her plot to eliminate Bill Hamilton was no abstract threat, it had tangible effects. Bill's health was deteriorating, weakened by the stress and by the experimental medication administered under Randy's supervision. Haley's anticipation of the $10 million insurance payoff intertwined with her impatience and ruthlessness, creating a scenario in which her impatience could lead to reckless miscalculations. Each decision she made, every adjustment of dosage, every calculated smile, was both a strategic maneuver and a moral trespass. The line between calculated control and reckless overreach was perilously thin. The Winterfest celebration loomed as a crucible for the intertwining threads of ambition, desire, and duplicity. Bill's potential health collapse during the event was a specter that haunted every planning session, every public appearance, every forced smile. Jacob and Naomi, seeking counsel, were confronted with a web of decisions that were both ethical and strategic, only to find the revelations about Derek offered no clarity, no easy path to resolution. Each character's choices became a chain reaction, their interdependencies magnifying the consequences of misjudgment. Eva and Isaiah, the younger pair in the network of relationships, found themselves on the cusp of emotional awakening. Their tentative attraction, subtle gestures, and shared secrets were illuminated against the backdrop of the larger chaos. Even these emerging feelings carried the potential to complicate alliances, ignite jealousies, and shift the balance of trust among the older players. Every smile, every touch, every hesitant glance was loaded with unspoken meaning, capable of influencing decisions in the higher-stakes conflicts surrounding them. As the week progressed, the pressure on Danny and Andre intensified. The modeling contract was more than a professional opportunity, it was a statement of control, a measure of who could leverage influence and navigate ethical compromise. Each alternative, signing, renegotiating, or withdrawing, carried consequences that could rupture personal bonds, expose vulnerabilities, and attract the attention of rivals. The stress manifested physically, mentally, and emotionally. Nights became restless, meals were skipped or eaten distractedly, thoughts spiraled into what-ifs and if-onlys. The stakes of career advancement were inseparable from the stakes of personal loyalty, creating a pressure cooker environment in which every reaction was magnified and every hesitation weaponized by the complexities of intertwined relationships. Ashley's confrontation with Derek and his potential infidelity became a mirror for her own insecurities and desires. Her anger, justified yet volatile, demanded an outlet, and yet she had no certainty that any action would produce justice rather than chaos. The compounding pressures of betrayal, opportunity, ambition, and latent desire pushed her toward decisions that were at once reactive, strategic, and unpredictable. Her inner dialogue, raging, pleading, calculating, was a battlefield upon which her impulses fought against her better judgment. Meanwhile, Joey and Vanessa's private affections clashed with public expectations. Vanessa's flourishing business and Joey's admiration were interlaced with jealousy, secrecy, and a fear of exposure. Each small decision, each hidden glance or whispered encouragement, carried the potential to unravel months of careful negotiation. The duality of private satisfaction and public restraint created a tension that could ignite into full-blown conflict with the slightest misstep. Haley's plans moved forward relentlessly, each calculated act pushing Bill closer to fragility. Her strategic patience, however, was tested by the unpredictable variables surrounding her: Jacob and Naomi's counsel, Derek's return to duty, the emotional volatility of Danny and Andre, and the evolving alliances within the broader circle. The intricate web of motivations, ambitions, and passions made every calculated move a high-wire act. One misstep, one unforeseen reaction, could set off a cascade of irreversible events. The days between November 10th and November 14th were a crucible, forcing each character to confront the core of their desires, fears, and ethical boundaries. Choices made under duress revealed the raw texture of human vulnerability. Rage, lust, ambition, jealousy, and love collided in a high-stakes game of survival and influence. Every decision was a potential spark, every action a potential conflagration. As the week closed, the consequences of hidden alliances, unspoken truths, and daring decisions began to manifest, leaving no character untouched by the heat of conflict, the strain of desire, or the piercing clarity of their own motivations. By November 14th, the landscape of relationships and power dynamics had shifted irreversibly. Danny and Andre's professional choice would ripple outward, affecting alliances, loyalties, and emotional attachments. Ashley's confrontation with betrayal reshaped her interactions with Derek and defined her path forward. Joey and Vanessa continued to navigate the tension between passion and discretion, while Haley's plot hovered over Bill with lethal precision. Eva and Isaiah's budding connection hinted at new possibilities, yet also the inevitability of complications. In every corner of this interconnected web, the consequences of human desire, ambition, and betrayal had left their indelible mark, transforming the lives of all involved in ways they were only beginning to comprehend.